You know, we all have that one special dog hanging out on the porch. He's just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. All these things you like coming together to make one superb dog. That was exactly what we had in mind when we made this show. Welcome to All Mixed Up. Lauren, what's up?
Hey.
How are you?
I guess I'll let you see my face.
I was debating it on my end, and I was like, I guess I'll put on some clothes.
Well, I guess everybody's lucky that I did too. Anyway, quick catch up, I guess. We haven't talked in a while, and I've been super duper busy. And I was thinking the other day on how your season, as far as your dogs, is slowing down or halted right now.
Dead.
Yeah. And I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I was just laying here. I was like, when do I have a slow part of my season? And I concluded after debating with myself for a long time that it is between February 15th and March 15th. And that's about it.
Well, I'm jealous because I got a 4-month dead time that I just want to run my head through a wall.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really fun and cool that I get to do all the trialing and the water racing. And, then there's bear and raccoon and coyote. So that was, yeah, I've been busy.
Are you thinking about getting your dogs onto coyote, or are you just going to hunt with other people?
Probably mostly other people. Cedar's the only one that I would put down on coyote, and she has before. So if I can, it's hard. In Wisconsin, it's either a crappy coyote season or a good one. So I just see if I can get in. But Gotcha. All this swim racing and field trialing has been super awesome. I was just at a swim race on Saturday, and we raised $5,000 for the WBHA. And now, just in a couple years, 2 years, we have raised now, I think it's about $15,000 just in our one benefit field trial and swim races held over the last 2 years. And then a couple Saturdays ago, we raised over $5,900 for a fellow houndsman battling brain cancer.
Wow.
So houndsmen can come together and really make a difference.
Those are the kind of success
really awesome.
stories
and
I like to hear.
And have a fun time doing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you this, and then that came up, so I'll just save it for another time. But we got a great episode today. We got a lot of cool content. Interviewed some really cool guys, and I took one for the show today. My friend Matt that I met in Canada from Freedom Hunters. His story was awesome, and he was just a cool guy, and I had to have him on the show. So for a segment, I got him, and we're going to be talking to another friend of mine who's a long-time coyote sighthound hunter, and he's going to be talking to us about how his season went last year and what he's looking forward to this season, and just a little bit of his takes on what he likes for a super duper coyote dog. And that's the
awesome.
other side of the Western sighthound game that I want to explore and talk about more than just hair coursing. Just, mix it up. Even though the long-eared ones, I got a special place in my heart for them. You know this.
I don't know. It's still cool to chase coyotes with some big dogs.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. They're hulking beasts. Hey, I got to ask you, I can't let it go. Why Cedar and nobody else?
Oh, that's a good question. I think she will just excel. She's not a super good coon dog. I never really started her on coon. She just comes along. And she's really fast on a bear track. And she does better in cold weather than she does in heat because she got heat exhaustion as a puppy. And she looks like she's built for it. I don't know. We'll just play the seedy game. I don't know.
All right. Yeah. All right. I like that. Yeah. And Ridge, he looks like he's just knocking it out of the park. That's awesome to see. He's such a beast.
Honestly, so many of my dogs are just doing super well. And he's peaking right now. He's not quite at his peak. He's going to be 3 in August. I don't know. I've been so lucky. I know that. But I've also worked hard too. So
yeah. I kind of feel the same way. And River swimming, paddling through the water like a beast. I mean, her name is perfect for her.
I know. I guess I chose that correctly. But yeah, they're all doing really good. But it'll be fun to see what happens this bear training season. Quick note, we're talking about reflection and preparation, right?
Yes.
Well, at my ripe old age of 35, I am now realizing that I need to reflect and prepare more when it comes to my body.
I know. I wasn't going to
like,
bring it up unless you were.
Yeah. So I had never really had an injury that like stopped me dead in my tracks from running dogs. And I always just kind of took what I could do for granted. And I injured myself on Saturday, my knee. And I'm like, wow, like this can really ruin like an entire season, and how in shape and ready you have to be to handle your dogs.
Tell me about it. I've done it 2 times and I've broken my arm twice.
I would be okay with, I sprained my wrist. Like I'd be okay with a broken arm because you have another arm. Like you don't have to walk on your arms. You have to walk on your legs. Like they're like a big part of mobility.
Yeah. Oh, it sucks. I tore my meniscus in 2015 on my right leg. And then I tore my meniscus last December in my left leg. So I got them both fixed and it's way better now. But man, that sucks when having a torn knee. So I feel for you, dude. I've been there. It sucks.
Yeah. And I knew that knee was weak and I didn't do anything specifically to strengthen it. I was just doing like overall conditioning and exercise. And now I'm reflecting back and I know I need to prepare better. But anyway, I think we've got some news to cover, right?
Yeah. So let's just get right into it. Lauren, tell us the news. I'm going to let you take it away, girl. You're the internet queen and you see all the good stuff. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I forget to like screenshot things. So, yeah, here we go. So South Dakota, you guys, super interesting. Maybe I just haven't been involved or seeing this in the past, but they have a nest predator program right now, but it's for the youth, which is pretty cool. I've seen some comments on it and it's also been shared to like other states saying that they need it. I will comment on that later. So the 2022 Nest Predator Bounty Program opens for South Dakota youth under the age of 18 as of March 1st. So the program is all South Dakota residents April 1st. Tails from raccoon, striped skunk, badger, red fox, and opossum will be eligible for $10 per tail with a maximum payout of $500,000. So $10 per tail, like you can't even get a raccoon really to pay $10. The thing is, the collection dates are March, April, May, June, July, which now we're not in prime fur season. So it's like strictly like kill them and what do we do with the rest of the fur, which I have a problem with. And why wasn't this program enacted in like the winter months, the fall winter months?
Yeah, I think the main reason okay, so I'm just going to play devil's advocate. It's about eradication. So I don't think they really care about fur quality. Yeah. I think they assume that 99% of them are just going to go in the ground. And the reason maybe they didn't go in the wintertime possibly could have been that hunter engagement would have been lower because in the wintertime, other people are hunting like elk, deer. They're running like big game for their hounds. They may not want to find the time to hunt these like nest invaders and nest predators, because I'll tell you, I wouldn't in the wintertime. I want to run my dogs after my stuff. And I want to take advantage of the winter hunting seasons. But if that happened now, like in April, I'd be all over it because I got nothing else to do. And I want to get out there and have an excuse to be out in the woods. Yeah. Or, so.
And I think, yeah, the big thing is like the turkey population. Everybody's always talking about the turkey population. So I would assume that's a driving force.
Yeah. They want to maybe be removing them when they're more active looking for nests to raid as well. Yeah. Yeah, potentially.
But it was interesting, the $500,000 maximum payout and things like that. And hey, this is probably because trapping and hunting has dwindled in the past. So now those nest predators haven't been controlled overall. And now we're in this conundrum where we have to now pay people to get tails of these animals. And then like I saw comments like, oh, well, we'll just take the roadkill. Like the thing's already dead. You didn't kill it. So there's probably some unethical practices. I wouldn't call that unethical, roadkill, but stuff like that. And then, so this was shared to Wisconsin. And then I saw somebody in Wisconsin saying, oh, we need this. And I thought to myself, do we though? And an article just came out talking about the turkey hunt for 2022 and the harvest. And the harvest was up 5% from last year. 39,007 wild turkeys were taken. And there was a late green up this year in Wisconsin, less than optimal weather in this year's early time periods. And these results, coupled with increased harvests recorded in at least 3 other Midwestern states in the spring, suggest that this year was good for turkey reproduction and survival in the region, and may at least temporarily halt concerns about population declines, at least in this area. So Wisconsin seems to be healthy. Other states, potentially not so much.
Yeah, and I guess you weigh out those cost-benefit analysis of dealing with the PR nightmare of having a bounty hunt for these nest carnivores. But at the same time, turkeys are economically important to the state, and coons maybe. Well, actually, yeah, coons too from Hound Hunter. But like possums and stuff, I think they just, and skunks, I think you
can make a lot of money off a skunk,
I know,
like
and that still
essence
surprises me. Like,
yeah.
That's so gross.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, anyway.
So I've got some other news. With so much drama in the LBC, it's kind of hard being, oh wait, we're not going there. But still, you guys know about all the drama that can surround the coonhound world, especially in the registries, right? You've heard of all these leagues, one-on-one hunts and the drama with UKC hunts. And what are we going to do about that, right? Well, I just saw that there's a new kennel club coming up called the Superior Kennel Club. And I was like, well, this intrigues me. Let me find out some more information. So Todd Sellers and David Beasley started it with a focus on the youth. And the big difference with this is it's nonprofit and there's no entry fees ever. And get this, with like every other hunt, there's strike points and tree points. You probably got to see that when you went on your coon hunt with maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I had no idea what was going on.
Okay, gotcha. So there's only tree points. And it's one-on-one. So they say it takes the strategy out of it as far as like being a slick handler and makes it more purely about the dog. The big push is to get the youth involved, and it's only $20 for an annual membership. It's called the Superior Kennel Club, and that $20 goes to the World Championship. And what I implore you guys to do is go check it out. There's a Facebook group called Superior Kennel Club, and there's some great people involved, and there is zero tolerance for drama. You can look at the rules that have been typed up, and it's right on top. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out. And they're saying, kind of our hunts, at least up north, slow down in the fall and winter. So there might be a better chance to stay more involved with hunting, competition hunting in the north if you join this kennel club.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Check it out.
I think the fun thing about hunting with friends or competition hunting would be, you're hanging out with other houndsmen and women, but man, like, I hate drama, so that sounds incredibly appealing to me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Me too. I mean, I've been part of the drama and just been turned off by a lot of the competition hunts. So I don't know, maybe I'll give it a shot. $20 for an annual membership, and it's pretty cool. If you win a certain amount of hunts in your state, then you can progress to the world. And I don't know, just look the rules up, you guys. It's pretty neat. And that's the news I have for that. So speaking of hunting with dogs, I've got some news out of Vermont. And if we know there's always news coming out of Vermont, because that's one of the epicenters of the anti-hunting, anti-hound hunting genre. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But so there were 2 laws that were coming through that started as outright bans to hound hunting for coyotes, and then a trapping ban. But there were just laws signed by Governor Phil Scott to limit coyote hunting with dogs. So a hunter cannot go after a coyote with a dog. That includes decoy dogs, unless they have the permit from the Fish and Wildlife Commissioner. And there's only 100 permits annually. The hunters also need a courtesy permission card to let their dogs loose on private land. So in Vermont, your land has to be posted and recorded every year. And private land, if that is not, is open to hunting. But now they need a courtesy permission card to let their dogs loose on private land. And I'm assuming there's a ton of private land out there. The second law, which started as a ban for trapping, they called it leg hold trapping, which we know isn't a thing. It's foothold. It tasked now the commissioner of Vermont Fish and Wildlife to come up with best practices when it comes to trapping, which Wisconsin already does. There's BMPs, best management practices. So we'll see what comes out of that. But the coyote hunting thing has me really worried, because if they can do that for coyotes, they can do that for bear, they can do that for raccoon, they can do that for anything.
Coyotes, please. Coyotes, the most ubiquitous canine on this freaking continent, except for the domestic dog. Oh God, it's just a.
They're not even native to Vermont, and this just says, like, I think a lot of it stemmed from like individual instances that happened in Vermont.
Yeah, it is. It's just,
and it always does.
Yeah,
it always does. But that means we just need to be better. Like, don't be a jerk when the dogs get on land and the people are like, "You've got to leave," or if they cause damage to like a fence or something like that, get it fixed right away. Just be a good person.
Yeah.
But that's what we're up against. Yeah, that's what we're up against. If they're doing this for coyote, other states are going to follow suit. We need to be ready, and we need to know this can happen for any type of game that we could pursue.
Yeah, that's a excellent mention. Thank you, Lauren. Man, that is, well, yeah, we lost trapping on public land. I think there'll be a resurgence here to get that back when we get an administration change. I fired off some pretty unsavory letters to my state senator, who's actually in my district. Just whatever. Anyway, it's very infuriating. So, Houndsman, just remember, like, we'll help you guys keep on the forefront of these kinds of things. Stay alert and get active when you can, and be ready to activate when the time comes when they're trying to do something as insane as banning hunting coyotes with dogs. So yeah, just stay vigilant. Thank you, Lauren. Thanks for the news segments, and we'll move right along. So everybody knows how pumped I was for the Canada trip. And when I was talking the 63 bears in 5 days episode, I was so pumped. I mean, it was just so fun to recount all that to you guys. And everyone that listened to the episode knows I got a lot of people reached out to me, and they were just like,
"You're an epic storyteller." You are.
Thanks. Yeah. I just, I can feel it and see it in my head, like it was happening right in front of me again. So one of the warriors there, I got pretty close to. He was cool, and they all were, but this guy in particular was just really friendly, and he was very articulate and wanted to just learn about the dogs, and he was taking notes and stuff. Like, I was like, oh, this guy. All right. Yeah. I had to have him on the show. So I interviewed him, and I was like, it was going to be a tailgate talk. And I was like, I want it to be on a main episode so that people can hear, one of the warriors from Freedom Hunters and someone who just hound hunted for the first time and what they thought about it. So you guys stay tuned. This is the episode with me and my friend Matt from the Freedom Hunters trip in Canada. So after a first attempt that was really good, but because of me failed, I have my good friend Matt back on the line. Matt, thanks for rejoining me here on the podcast, bud.
Absolutely, Seth. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How did your elk scouting experience go?
Oh, it was so great. Yeah, it was really great. I got an added bonus of finding some fire morel mushrooms when I was out looking for signs. So awesome. It was kind of a nice little bonus. Yeah. Lots of elk sign out there. I was out in the Wenatchee National Forest area that was heavily impacted by the Schneider Springs fire from last year. So a lot of the trails haven't been cleaned up. There's a lot of logs that have been knocked over the trail. So there hasn't been a lot of people back there in about a year. So there's a lot of wildlife that's starting to come back and get close, and lots of mushrooms. So
man, I love eating mushrooms, and there's just not a variety of them in the wild here. The only ones that grow out here are very poisonous, as pretty much every green thing is here, spiky, poisonous, or both. So I'm really jealous of people that can go out and just forage and do their own thing.
Yeah, I love it. I'll send you some. I'll dry some out and I'll send you a bunch.
Dude, that'd be sweet. Thanks.
Yeah,
so I got everybody. I got Matt on the line. He was one of the awesome warriors that came with us to British Columbia to hunt some bears and have a great time. And I really was drawn to Matt. He's articulate and fun and cool. And I was having a good time picking his brain. He's an avid hunter. So Matt, why don't you introduce yourself to the Houndsman XP Nation, brother?
Yeah, certainly. And Seth, thank you for that warm introduction. I got to show you this really quick. I made this picture. I know I can't see you, but I'm hoping you can see me. I got this frame.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
Picture of all of us. I sent one to Anthony and he should get it tomorrow or the next day. And I'll have to get you one of these too. It was such a great trip.
Dude, thanks.
Huge thanks to Freedom Hunters and all the generous sponsors that made this hunt possible. Not under any other circumstance would I have been able to go on a guided bear hunt in Canada. It really was like the hunt of a lifetime. So it was a very humbling experience. I had a great time. I've been talking about it nonstop since I've been home. I'm driving everybody crazy.
Me too, dude. Me too.
Bear talk. It's so funny. I met a buddy the other night, and we went to go shoot some pool. And he was telling his wife, he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna go meet Matt, down the pub for a little bit." And she goes, "Oh, you mean Bear Matt?" And so apparently I've assumed this new identity. But yeah, man, thanks to Freedom Hunters. Really great crew. And then just kind of dive back in. Just an introduction about myself. My two biggest passions are hunting and conservation, right? And I'll jump into the hunting part real quick. I have the good fortune to come from a long line of hunters. My grandfather was a big time deer hunter in Michigan, where he raised his family. My dad and my uncle Greg, both lifelong hunters, very successful hunters. My dad used to hunt moose, caribou in Alaska. And I remember being a kid and watching my dad, he would drive up there from Washington State and then drive back down, and watching him pull into the driveway, car totally filthy, trunk full of meat, all kinds of cool stuff. And I loved it. Made a big impression on me as a kid. My uncle's a big hunter as well. So I grew up, in this kind of firearms community. And to me, as a kid, it was just normal, right? It's a really, really normal part of my upbringing, shooting 22s and then later on shotguns and getting in target shooting. And there's a really meaningful kind of dimension to my life. And so I guess I've just kind of carried that on. So now I love to hunt. I love being outside. I have a 12-year-old son, and he went on his first hunt this year. He shot a turkey with a bow and arrow from 22 yards.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's a little sniper.
Yeah, well, you're also out there slaying with your bow. You were the only hunter that took a bear with a bow, so that was pretty impressive. Yeah,
that was so much fun. That was a punishing 3 days. I think one thing about being a bow hunter is you have to have a certain appetite for disappointment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As a flintlock hunter, I know how you feel. I mean, you take what you can get a lot, and you better be ready to fail a lot of stalks. That's just going to happen.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I just wanted you to succeed so bad with the hounds. I wanted to see you get one with a bow with me there on the hounds, but life had a different outlook for us. And I just wanted to let everyone know this was your first time hound hunting, and this was my first time in the North Woods hunting for bears with hounds. And this was the first time I'd ever seen a bear treed for both of us. And so why don't you I don't want to take all this glory, man. You and I were both just geeking out in that truck. Obviously, I think I was a little bit more hyped than you were, but both of us were really amped up, really pumped, guys. Why don't you tell us what you thought of your first time hound hunting, man?
Yeah, absolutely. And and once again, I know I keep saying this, but I want to thank you for being patient with all the questions that I was peppering you with.
Dude, I love that stuff
in the truck, and it was before 9 a.m.
Yeah, well, I'm peppy from the second my feet hit the ground.
we're still working on our coffee, and I'm like, what about this? What about that? How does this work? And
I love it, dude.
Awesome guy fielding all those questions. So yeah, that was my first time hunting with hounds ever, like in my entire life. So it was really exciting. The last time we talked, I was kind of shooting from the hip about some different things that I like. This time, I actually took a minute and jotted down some notes because I wanted to make sure that I touched on all these things that I thought were interesting. So first of all, like I really liked how you said something to the effect that being hunting with hounds or being a houndsman is more of a lifestyle than it is something that you do, right? So it wasn't just like a hobby that you pick up once in a while. This is like a very big part of who you are and who other houndsmen are. And I like that resonated with me because I can identify with that a little bit as an archer. I get that, it's not just something that we do. I don't shoot an arrow once in a while because it's fun. It's something I do every day because I love it. And so I got that vibe from you, and I could tell that you're really excited to be out there. The first thing that kind of jumped out at me, no pun intended, is how excited these dogs were, right? Like they, for some reason, as someone that has never hound hunted, I had all these different preconceived notions of what it is and what to expect and what to be like. And so like I really wanted to make an effort when I got out there. Like I wanted to like suspend my own judgment and just put it on the back burner and really learn. I wanted to walk away from this experience and learn. And the first thing that never occurred to me is the personalities and the interactions of the dogs within the dogs, and I loved how excited they were. And I think, people that have this conception of, like these dogs are getting, like you better get out there and like run. It was exactly the opposite, right? The dogs like could not wait to get out of the truck and chase something down.
Yep.
So I was really psyched by that. Like I really enjoyed that energy, and seeing an animal that was kind of like finely tuned and in its element, doing what it was engineered and designed to do. Dogs are super happy. And so like, I liked seeing these dogs, running like bullets, running all over the woods. That was really awesome. Another thing that struck me is that, when I typically hunt in a spot and stalk technique, the only area of the forest that's available to me is the dirt road that I happen to be on, or the game trail that I happen to be on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of my surrounding that's inaccessible to me. With the hounds, it's like the whole landscape opens up, and that
for better and for worse.
For better and for worse, yeah, exactly. So we'd be driving down, dogs would pick up a scent, they'd start barking. Like I didn't see anything, I didn't notice anything, but like they're picking up on what's out there in the playing field. So I like that. It's like, man, these dogs are, they're taking what's accessible to me and they're multiplying it by 10.
It's incredible to think that, all the bears we struck from the rig, we didn't see any of those bears except one. And the rest of those bears were hidden in the bushes. And the day that you had missed that I went out with Lloyd, the bear was 40 yards off the road, so the dogs just thundered into the forest and instantly started chasing him. So I get what you're saying. And I also find that so incredible that the whole invisible world that we can't perceive with our eyes, they're perceiving in this map of their nose. And they're like time travelers that can go back and then bring the past into the present by running up on this animal in the thick woods. And I just think that's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said, and, looking at a few day old track in the dirt, right? If it had rained that morning, that track could look potentially fresher than it actually is. And so it's always kind of a crapshoot if you're looking at fresh tracks or not. With the dogs, you can be relatively certain that those tracks are fresh. I think Another thing that struck me as interesting was the different sounds of the barks of the dogs, and how you were able to tell, like, oh, that's so and so, or this is that other dog. And I was really impressed by that, because, like, to me, it was, at first it was all barking, right? It's like this one category of barking. But then as the day progressed, and you're kind of teaching me about, like what harkening is and what that means, and even the cadence of the barks to indicate if they're getting close or what's happening. That was pretty exciting. Being able to kind of read the lay of the land by the tonality of the dogs.
I found that incredible when I first went scent hound hunting first. And Lauren, she's one of the co-hosts of the show. She has some blue tick hounds, and we were hunting raccoons, and it's very similar to what we're doing, except it's all done at night. So you even have the humans, like visual sense completely stripped away, and it's completely an auditory experience. And so you quickly learn, who is who and what does each dog bark mean. And Lauren, luckily, she's really energetic like we are, and she was happy to every single bark tell me who it was and what it meant. And so I was quickly, over the course of about 2 weeks, learning those cadences of a scent hound's bark. And then by the time I got to British Columbia, I'd felt pretty confident about those different tonalities of barks. And then all you have to do is learn what each dog sounds like. And it's pretty easy to do when you have a badass like Lloyd with you. I've never met a tracker like Lloyd. He was a beast. How he spotted some of those bear footprints, I was blown away. And so he was also really more than happy to talk to us about, how his dogs do things. But yeah, man, I was just, me and you both were kind of just soaking it all up. And I was pumped to have someone like you along who was just like so enthused. A lot of people just think that you drop a tailgate and dogs just magically tree something. So in a way, even though we didn't succeed on our 9-hour race, I'm really happy that you got to see like the epic nature of a super duper bear race. And like, that was obviously my first time seeing something like that too. But man, we both got to experience. That was a tough day. That was a tough day.
That was a day I will not soon forget. And that was, I think, one of my biggest misconceptions was, as soon as the dogs run out, like, you have an animal within 10 seconds and then it's game over, and then you're off to lunch. And it couldn't be furthest from the truth, right? It's not a sure thing. And we were out there slugging out there for, hours. I'll never forget being in that waist deep snow.
Oh, God. That was so bad.
It was like, it was all downhill from that Tuesday. I was like, it can only get better as far as terrain goes, right? As far as the terrain goes. So,
dude, I've never been that demoralized from hiking ever. That was insane. My feet were popsicles. I was not prepared for that snow like that. And also, dude, the GPS, when I was looking at the handheld, Lloyd said when we were on the road, we were moving at 3 miles an hour. But when we were moving through that heavy brush, when the dogs crossed way up there, dude, we were moving at 3/4 mile an hour. And Gomer was moving at 9 miles an hour. It's just crazy. And it's shocking how fast they can move through that horrible country for 9 hours,
Right. Yeah. No breaks, no rest. It's impressive. The work ethic of the dogs, just that singular focus, right? Like, I will run until my body breaks down. I won't stop until I get to my goal. It was pretty incredible.
I think too, one thing that really struck me when we were hanging out too is how cool was it to see the bear like run across the road, like right in front of us. Yeah.
I think that was my favorite part.
Me too.
The bear bolts across, and then pretty soon the dogs are coming across. It was like a police chase, right? Like, you're parked down the block and you see the cars zipping from you.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Who was your favorite dog in the pack?
Oh man, I had Gomer.
Me too.
Yeah. Don't tell the other dogs that, but
yeah. What did you like about Gomer?
It's a tie between Gomer and Chappie, but I think Gomer was just it was just like this unstoppable force of nature, right? Like, you just like let him go and he would split, and it was crazy. A couple times he'd come back to the truck and, it's kind of watching the dogs a little bit, and you can you can kind of get a little idea of their, their personalities and, and their thought process, for lack of a better phrase. And I just like the way that he was like, let me get after this bear or whatever it is. It's like, just let me run, and I was impressed by that. I was like, man, that's a crazy level of drive and focus.
We did a recap episode that just came out today, me just talking about it. So this was the first time I've ever experienced a Karelian bear dog. And man, what I loved about him is how quick he would just run right up on a bear. And Chappie had crazy speed for a hound. But what I liked about Chappie is he would hear Gomer barking and like run up the trail until Gomer, would stop barking. And then he'd put his head down and trail as fast as he could. But did you notice how Chappie got way ahead of Tui and the other hound, Willow, Tui and Willow, and Chappie like saved that first race that we treed on because, we could see him. How cool was that drive track, that screen in the front of the car, you know what I mean? Or the truck. That thing was,
that was next level, dude. I didn't even know that was a thing until, seeing the GPS trackers on the collars. It added to the whole experience.
It really made it fun for us because we could see everything in like real time on the big screen, which was so rad. But I just thought it was super cool to have Chappie, save that first race. When he ran across the road by himself, I was like, oh man, Chappie is such a beast. And then we cut Gomer in to help him out. And Gomer, after he had run so far, he charged in there and treed that bear with Chappie. And dude, I don't know how thick it is. Why don't you explain the difference in where you hunt versus where we were, unless they're super similar?
They're pretty similar. West side hunting tends to be a lot thicker underbrush, right? So it's a lot harder to get through, especially as an archer. It can be a little challenging lining up the shots. The eastern side of Washington and more towards the Blue Mountains, it does open up quite a bit. So I think the terrain that we were in was a pretty good representation of a lot of the terrain that I'm used to hunting back home, but with just a little bit more underbrush.
Gotcha. So you're pretty used to looking into the forest and going, damn, we got to walk through that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, man, if you sneeze or, twitch a finger, you're going to make a noise in the branches. And so it's a challenge. And so, ironically, sometimes hunting in the rain out here will help you because it camouflages any kind of noise that you're making as you're breaking through the brush. But I certainly have an appreciation for these dogs, moving as fast as they were through the same terrain that we were in, and me moving as slow as I was at a little pace.
All of us. Yeah. And Lloyd would be like, come on, keep up. You know what I mean? Look, I was walking on frozen stumps, dude.
I'll never forget him looking back at us just like it with, almost disdain. It's like, God, what's wrong with you guys?
I was trying. We were trying.
Yeah. Suck it up.
Did you, let me ask you something. Did you have any preconceived like notions? Cause I always, I'm sure you remember a million times I was like, yo, it's not going to be like we just drop a tailgate and they magically tree. But did you have any preconceived thoughts about what it was going to be like and surprised at the reality of it?
Yeah. I was surprised by, I thought that with the dogs, it would be a lot faster. Like you mentioned earlier, the tailgate drops, dogs run out. And then by the time you climb out of the truck, you have your animal treed and then you're and the hunt's over and that's it. And that was a pretty eye-opening experience where I was like, this is not, it's certainly not easy by any means, right? It's not like, I'm going to throw in the towel, send in the dogs and, get the animal and I'm going to go get it. It's like, it's hard, man. It's probably harder than spotting and stalking. So that was really eye-opening for me. I was like, man, this is really challenging. I think that, I'd say that was the
big one. Yeah, that was mine too. And I'm a hound hunter because I'm a sight hound hunter. And even with all the stuff I've learned, even I was like, oh yeah, we'll just, go tree a coon in like, 10 seconds, 10 minutes and it can happen, but it's more often than not, it's way more, he made a loss. We need to like, recalibrate, bring him in, send him out again. Like it was intense. And one thing I really enjoyed that we all got to experience, and this was my first time experiencing that, is the hounds also add this element to a big game hunter's arsenal's backup for trailing wounded animals. And
Yep.
we used the hounds to find a bear that had gotten hit, and it wasn't the best hit. And I mentioned when we were sitting on the couch, I remember you brought that up and you really liked that, the aspect of finding that wounded bear.
Yeah, 100%. I think, being an ethical hunter, I think there really is, there's an obligation and a duty, right, to train with your platform, whether it be a rifle or a bow and arrow or a crossbow or what have you, to be the most proficient shooter you can be, to make that shot the most accurate it can be, so the animal doesn't have to suffer any more than it needs to. And so, and that being said, like, conditions are never perfect, right? Like, you don't always get that bench rest shot, and so sometimes, like you won't always place where you want to, and God forbid an animal like run off and not be recovered, right? I think that's like one of the biggest fears, of a lot of hunters, is that you get an animal just enough to wound it, but not enough to kill it, before it runs off 400 or 500 yards and and just kind of vanishes. So with the dogs in tow, man, like, I love that. It's you can virtually guarantee that once you get that blood trail, like, you'll find your animal, right? And so I really like that. I think that's responsible hunting.
That was so awesome. That was really exciting. That whole morning was just crazy. And the patrons that are listening to this can see all that footage. I had the whole GoPro strapped on the whole time we went up to that and found that wounded bear. That was incredible. And I think, Matt, you are the first guest I've ever interviewed that had notes prepared ahead of time. And I'm a huge note taker, so I'm like, yes, good. Was there any other points on that notebook you wanted to hit, brother?
Yeah, I'd say, I applaud you in your efforts and what you're doing. I think it's so important to, keep hunting on the forefront of people's minds, and especially, people that don't always get the kind of press that, that really should be out there, like putting a good foot forward for the hunting public. So I'm excited to be a part of that effort and support you, in that arena. And then, and also just, man, I just hope we get to do this again. I keep thinking, it's like, I wonder if there's going to be a part 2 to this Canadian bear hunt. So
there could be a part 2 if you went to New Mexico, man. You're always welcome to come run some speed with me, brother. Bring your son too, man. It'd be fun if he wants to come.
Yeah, no, I think he will after he saw the bear meat come home. I think, the only caveat that I have is just on the conservation side of things, because I think, and I truly believe that hunting and conservation really go hand in hand. According to Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, they said they're one and the same thing. And I know that, living where I do in Washington State, we're the benefactors of, a lot of conservation efforts to keep wildlife populations, in healthy places. We have the Olympic National Park was originally stood up in 1909 by Teddy Roosevelt as the Mount Olympus National Monument, and that was to protect elk populations in the area. It wouldn't be until later, 1938, that the Olympic National Park would get its name and what it is today. So I kind of think back, and it's like, if we don't have these people that are stepping up and saying, like, we need to protect these places and these animals, there's a very real possibility we could lose it.
Absolutely. And people tend to forget that we're the ones putting the bill,
Right.
And hound hunting is a huge part of the scientific community. That's another thing that I think it's ironic that people that want to ban hound hunting tend to kind of turn a blind eye to that. Houndsmen are the number one way we get data on these large very secretive carnivores like mountain lions and bobcats. They're the best way to find these. Well, look at the bears. You rarely see them unless they're standing on the side of the road. You're never going to find them in those woods. But then you can turn these dogs loose and they'll find one for you. And I think that's really cool. They're a great partner for conservation.
So Seth, bearing that in mind, let me ask you this, right? In Washington, we lost hound hunting way back in 1996. And they're starting to slowly reintroduce it last year in 2021, but only for nuisance animals on farms and public safety issues, right? But there's still like a very big effort to keep hound hunting illegal, right? So how do we get it back, right? It's being in a state where we can't use hounds. What do we need to do to get this back on the books?
Well, the first thing you have to do is vote and change public perception. People like you that have come out and that are leaders in conservation and are, coming out and experiencing other things. And you see what hound hunting really is. I think it's really sad that there's an incredibly large contingent of big game hunters that have a really negative view of hunting with dogs. And, it's funny because they bring back these aspects of hunting with dogs that society is deemed quote unquote acceptable. And the sad part about living in a state where the majority of the cities are ruling the rural masses is that these laws get passed with people that have no clue about how, hound hunting is an integral part of controlling these predator populations. Washington has no shortage of mountain lions. New Mexico's had hound hunting for mountain lions for a century more. And we have incredibly robust mountain lion populations. And so how to get it back? This would be a great question for Chris Powell, the owner of the show. But I think the best way is to change public opinion. And the way I think to start with that is exactly what you were blown away with first, how much fun those dogs are having. And people tend to think that hunters are out there like these brutes. And there's people like us that I couldn't love a jackrabbit more than anyone in this world. And because I love them, I love the places that they live. And because I want to benefit these places they live, everyone benefits. And I think that's our best angle in the 21st century, is that by hunting with dogs, we are keeping these ancient breeds alive that have a task to do. They're not just like these couch mongrels that are doing nothing all day. They're out there doing the things they were born to do, which fulfills them on a super deep level. And then also, because we are out there in the woods and hound hunters need massive amounts of land to hunt on, what benefits the hound hunter benefits all the big game hunters, because we need this giant area to hunt. So you, the elk hunter, has this giant area to hunt also. And the hounds don't affect the big game populations at all. As a matter of fact, we're helping because we're removing top carnivores at a sustainable and managed level. So it helps the elk hunter, the deer hunter, the turkey hunter. So we're all allies here. And the best way to do that, I think, to get it back is to get active in your local hunting communities and spread the good word and be a leader. Take people hound hunting and show them exactly the experience that you and I had, and get active. It's not hard. And when you like it, it's really quite easy, especially someone who's as organized and well-spoken as you. It's easy for you to take these leadership roles and make a difference, We
have a pretty, it's a hot topic in Washington State right now too, our cougar population, right? So elk numbers are down and trending down. And there's evidence to suggest that it's calf predation by these cougars. We had a 9-year-old in Stevens County was attacked by a cougar. And then in 2019, we had another little kid in Leavenworth that was attacked by a cougar. And so we have a situation, I think, that would really benefit, I think, from a robust hound hunting demographic in Washington State. And I think it's unfortunate that we don't have that, because if we did, I believe the scales would be tipped, right? I think we would see less elk predation. I think we'd see less, attacks on little kids,
definitely,
things of that nature. And so,
I
think there's a good argument to be made for, it's like, man, let's bring these hound hunters back. We didn't have these problems when they were, hunting and, all the way up until 95. But
yeah, of course. And that's the thing too, is I think the biggest benefit for Western states is that where we can hunt our hounds, safely and effectively is also these massive tracts of land that every hunter wants to protect. I think that's our strongest angle in the West, where we have all this public land, personally. But that's just my opinion, I suppose.
I like it.
Well, is there any other questions you got, brother? Because, man, I was going to have us run for 20 minutes, and you and I can go for an eternity. It's been almost 40 minutes.
I hope. Well, yeah, I don't want to take time from, any other callers or any other issues. I think the last big question in my mind is, what was that homecoming like when you got home from Canada and your dogs got to see you after a week? Did they run you down the door? I'm surprised.
They were pretty excited. They were pretty excited. And I was really sad to come back from 50-degree weather and come back to, it's 105 right now. And so it was 95 the next day I got home. And that sucks because the cold temperatures is when I get to enjoy all my dogs. And so it was lame to come back from winter and then come back to heat and see all my little buddies and not be able to take them hunting. So I really wanted to come home and run a jackrabbit, and I got to wait for another 3 months before that's possible, which sucks.
Yeah, so, man. Well, I got to tell you, it was great to meet you and, learn about your background in biology and the work that you do. And, you were such an awesome influence on the group. There was a noticeable temperature change, I think the day you left, and then a bunch of us guys were out on the lake, and things were kind of a little quiet and slow, and you were like, man, we need Seth back here to liven this boat up. So you were like you added a lot to the group, so I think we're fortunate to have you down there at the hunt. So I appreciate you having me on your podcast. I love to talk about hunting. I could do it all day.
I couldn't thank you enough, man. I made it. I was so sad that we lost our original conversation. It was so good. And so I'm glad we got a re-chance. I couldn't let you go, man. So, man, I really appreciate you coming on the Houndsman XP podcast and talking to me about your first time hunting dogs, man. So thanks again, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you, Seth.
Hey, Hound Doggers, if there is one thing that you could identify Houndsman XP with, it has got to be the message of building unity and bridging the gap. That's why we are proud to sponsor with a company like Dogs Are Treed. Dogs Are Treed is a company that is based in Ingham, Idaho. It's run by houndsmen. The products were designed by houndsmen. We're talking decades of experience in the field with some legendary hounds doing some legendary work out there. And Kevin Hall has put his decades of experience into building products that benefit you, the houndsman. So when you're shopping for your gear, check out Dogs Are Treed at dogsaretreed.com. And if you go to their website at checkout and enter the code HXP 20% off, you will get 20% off of your entire order on all of their branded products. Leashes, tie-outs, medical kits, paws are protected. Build your pack from the ground up and support a fellow houndsman that supports your lifestyle. Enter the code HXP 20% off at checkout. Go to their website today at dogsaretreed.com.
Wow, Seth. Thanks so much. That was awesome.
No problem. Thanks. So I'm just going to keep rolling, you guys. The next segment, I reached out to my friend Randy Tivis. He's been hunting coyotes for decades, and he's a very, I'm just going to say famous hunter in the Texas area, the plains, for coyotes with his sighthounds. And when I thought of the theme of the episode that I had in mind, which was, reflection on last season and preparation for the next, I really like to reach out to these people that have been doing it for decades because they have a much deeper reflective ability, and so I was like, Randy, perfect. I wanted to have another coyote hunter on. It's been a long time. And I really wanted to debut my segment, Speed Kills. So stay tuned, everyone. Here we go.
Speed Kills.
Randy, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm hot. I was in the sun all day, so I'm happy to be sitting in my office. I think you can probably see me right now. Maybe that's a bad thing, though.
Same way here. It's been hot and dry.
a good friend of mine who I hunt with all the time went up and saw your setup, and he said it was really nice. And I've been wanting to talk to you for some time. You're a pretty well-known and famous guy in the sighthound hunting community. So thank you so much for joining me today.
You bet.
If you don't mind. Go ahead.
The barn and everything turned out nice, finally.
It looks awesome. And Justin had a lot of nice things to say about it for sure.
Good. Yeah, I enjoyed visiting with him.
Why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us a little about yourself, how long you've been hunting, and what you like to do with hounds?
Oh, I'm Randy Tivis, and I've been doing it for, all my life, basically, since I was a little kid, my grandpa, and then my dad, and then me. And I guess I'll keep doing it until I'm gone. And hopefully a grandkid will take it over. Yeah,
that'd be awesome. What do you run?
Tell me that again, Seth.
What kind of dogs do you run, and what do you chase after?
Oh, we run coyotes, and mostly my dogs are, the cold bloods, as we call them, with a little bit of hot blood in them and a little dab of Saluki, not much, but I've over the last few years I have put that in my dogs.
Yeah,
for the reason of some of the places that we hunt now.
What do you think the Saluki brings to the table?
Well, it puts the distance in them before, compared to the dogs I had before. Because sometimes you might have to turn them loose a quarter mile or further. And the half mile, half hot blood won't work.
Yeah. I really love the distance.
They'll never get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I first want to just tell you that your videos are the best in the business. So that was something that I always really enjoyed watching.
And sometimes people think that that's the way I hunt all the time. And really, I don't hunt that way very much. That's around here close during the week. And if I'm wanting to show somebody a pup, I'll go out here and get close so I can video it.
Yep.
But you don't ever see no videos from the weekend because we don't get close enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get close enough in those canyons in the rough country that we hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. Where are you hunting at?
We hunt around here, around Amarillo and Hereford. Then we go up. I've got a deal at Stratford and Dalhart and
awesome.
All up through a bunch of different ranches up through there.
I really want to come up and hunt with you.
Yeah, you need to.
I just got into coyote dogs through Justin, and so we're going to give that a go this winter.
I didn't know you did. I didn't know you got a coyote dog.
Yep. So Justin did, and I'm just going to live through his pack for now. And we just saw a lot of coyotes last season, and we were just missing out, I think. So we were pretty happy to get a set, and we're going to see how it goes. David's going to give us some dogs to help train his pups, and they're speed bred coyote dogs. And I think they're going to be nice for us. They'll chase a lot of rabbits too, I'm sure.
That's funny you say that because I sold a set of coyote dogs to some guys that run rabbits down at Plainview.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of the same thought that y'all are having. They see coyotes all the time. So they said, heck, we might as well take a couple coyote dogs with us.
Yeah. And I just have some dogs that will chase a coyote, but they're just not there. I raised them and trained them for jacks. You know what I mean? And they're not really tough. They're just kind of playful with them, and that doesn't work too well.
Well, they just don't know what to do.
Yes, exactly.
But once you run them this winter, next winter, they'll know what to do.
Yeah. And I'm really excited to see some of that action and see these pups. I can't believe how big they are. Holy smokes. Compared to a rabbit dog, they're monsters.
The coyote dogs are quite a bit bigger.
Why don't you explain the kind of dogs you keep and what kind of genetics you like for where you're hunting right now? I know things have changed over the years, but right now, how are you breeding your coyote dogs to maximize your success?
Well, I use my spotted dog I call Deuce and Romo, and I've implemented them into my stuff that I run before because I'm sure you've heard of Rascal. I used to run all his stuff. He was kind of my deal. But I took him and I put Deuce, which he's 20% hot, 20% Saluki, and then the rest is the old cactus coyote dog stuff. And I've taken him and I've put him on my Rascal females. Plus, I took him and put him on Miss K. She's the black female that we just lost, but she was a quarter hot. And then she was the old scooter blood. So I got that's how I took Deuce and put him on top of them and got my Saluki and stuff in there.
Gotcha.
Because I want to have a dog that I can go hunt anywhere, that I can come to your place and hunt in the desert, that I can hunt here in the wheat fields. I can go to Kansas, or I can go hunt the rough country. I don't care. If someone invites me to go hunting, I want to go hunting.
Yeah.
I want to have a dog that will perform there.
I couldn't agree more about that. The Salukis are just so durable. That's what I really love about mine. I can hunt them so much, and it doesn't matter where. The Salukis add such good feet.
The feet is unbelievable.
Yes.
How the hair is around their pads. I mean, you can talk to hundreds of coyote hunters that will not run a coyote across a frozen wheat field. I was one of them because it just cuts their feet to pieces. But now it don't even come to my mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Because of these dogs' feet and how the hair comes out by their pads. I run them all the time, and they don't cut their feet.
Yeah, the Salukis they're awesome. I have 2 pure Salukis right now, and they're doing wonderful for me. They have been a blast, and I run them on some places that I would never run my hot blood crosses, and it doesn't bother them one bit. Yes. They're catching out there like crazy. So
I hunt a big ranch every year in New Mexico, and it's rocky. You've run rabbits over there close by it, I'm sure. It's rock. It's flat, but it's just terrible rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And my dogs, when I get through there hunting 3 days, I can come home and go hunting the next day. Where before, they were done for a week.
Yeah,
because
I know that all
walk.
too well.
You know, their feet were sore.
Yep.
So I'm always trying to, first of all, my deal, if a dog has bad feet, I will not breed him. And people say, well, that's dumb. And it may be, but it's not to me, because feet are number one.
Couldn't agree more.
Their feet, their brain, and how they see, because they have to have good eyes. They have to have that, whatever it is, where they can see a coyote, you know.
Yeah, that's the big difference between rabbit and coyote hunting, is that rabbit hunting, the rabbit just jumps up and appears right in front of him. But that coyote, he could be streaking across that field like, a half a mile out. Those dogs better be able to see him,
Yeah.
And especially if you can't get out there.
They need to see him a long ways too, They need to be smart. They got to be smart, and they got to have good feet.
Describe to me what a smart coyote dog does.
They're not all smart, but I'll just use Deuce, for example, because he's the best one I've ever hauled of all my whole deal. He's got a good eye. He don't get hurt. He's 7 years old, and he still runs the rocks and the canyons. He takes care of himself. He don't get himself in a jam. He's just smart.
Yeah.
And what I try to do is, like, his sons are those liver-colored pups you've probably seen.
Mm-hmm.
I run them with him only for the whole winter, hoping that they're his sons, that they pick up how he does it.
Yeah.
By being with him all the time.
Yep.
I mean, that dog's never been crippled. He's never had a broke toe. Every time I've gone coyote hunting, he goes with me. I've never left him home, and he's 7 years old.
He's really famous.
So, I mean, it's not because he's mine. I mean, I didn't raise that. I bought him as a pup from Dwayne, but he's what I want all my dogs to be like. And that's why I breed him. I mean,
yeah. I wondered where he got that like the fur from. He's got the white and like brown fur, right? He's kind of silky furry, right?
Yeah, all my dogs are silky haired. Yeah. I've got one slick haired dog left, and the rest of them have the silk hair.
Where do you think that silk came from?
Well, he got it from his daddy. I mean, he got it from both his mama too. It's from the Salukis back in the back of their pedigree.
Gotcha.
And probably some of them from the Russian Wolfhound, probably.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That makes perfect sense, because their coat is very Borzoi-like. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you just, I mean, I don't know how much he's got in him, but one night I did break it down, and it was like 20% Saluki and 20% hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we call the coyote dogs, it was just the coyote dog.
Yep. Yep.
But that whole litter, that dog and his black brother was just smart, run good, wasn't as tough. But that's one thing I've found out with the Saluki. You've got to be careful because it will take some of your fight away. So I think you got to be careful where you put it.
I'm sure there are these Salukis out there that are pretty tough, but they're few and far between. I've heard. I have no experience in the matter, so it doesn't take much of a tough dog to whoop a rabbit's butt.
Yeah. So from my experience with the Saluki, you can take the fight away from one if you put too much of him in the coyote dog.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't want a half and half. A quarter or below. A quarter is plenty for me.
You get those beneficial traits at a quarter, you think?
Because I'm just after the feet, the durability, and the distance.
The heat tolerance is nice too. I can run my Salukis at 75 degrees and they're fine. They caught a rabbit at 74 degrees and I was impressed.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. It really is.
Before, my dogs before, I mean, those suckers would get hot. And you know, I had to change my ways when Deuce come along because they don't get hot like that.
Yeah, my hot bloods, they cook quick. After about 60 degrees, I put them away. But my Salukis, they're fine. Yeah. You know, it's incredible, really.
I mean, I run Deuce one day up by Spearman, run a mile race, couldn't get to them. They caught the coyote, all that stuff. Come back to the truck. I mean, didn't go a half mile. It was late in the day and we'd caught several. And I pulled the wrong rope and turned him out again.
Oh.
And I don't remember who was even with me. I said, well, we probably just killed him. Because it never fails when you're in a jam. It's always a good coyote.
Yeah.
So he run that coyote and they run that coyote another mile. I mean, he was just in slow motion. And Ty was on up north of me, and I told him, I said, catch that coyote because Deuce fixing to kill himself.
Yeah.
And he was hotter than a pistol, but just a few minutes, he was fine.
Wow.
He just went and jumped in the truck, and we went home. But if it had been before, if it had been 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'd have had dead dogs everywhere.
Yeah, I've never really heard of a Saluki running himself to death, but I've definitely heard of hot bloods doing it many times. Lot different of a dog, though. A lot different.
I've had several of the. If I only hunted in Amarillo and Hereford and down here, just around here, 50 miles around here, I wouldn't have the Saluki. I'd have those. I'd have them half hot rods.
And that's the thing too. The 2 dogs I got from Dean Bohannon, they've actually held up really well in my desert. And everyone, like a lot of people in my area were like, oh, they're going to be crippled. They're going to be crippled. And they haven't, but they definitely have a higher chance of getting hurt than my Salukis. But one thing that I think it's important to remember is they are running so hard. You know what I mean? Like they can just blast up on a rabbit, and they actually have really good distance for those speed bred dogs. But if I lived where Dean Bohannon lives, I would definitely be running high-powered speed. But I run in really rough desert, so Pronto and Calypso they're going to be the last of that super high-powered breeding I run for a while because I'm very limited where I can take them and have a great time, and I want to protect them.
But they have a shot of Saluki in them, don't they?
They do, and they're definitely still running.
You're getting away with it.
Yeah. They're 20% Saluki. Yep. If
you took that 20% out and put that 20% back of hot or whatever else,
they'd be destroyed.
They'd be crippled.
Yep. So I mean,
if you want a running dog, go to Dean Bohannon.
Oh my gosh, those dogs have been everything for me. I can't gush on them too long because everyone's heard it a million times.
Yeah, just through the years, I've got several of them half hots from Dean. Him and I are good friends, and they made hellacious coyote dogs in the flat ground.
Yeah.
But if I took them to where I go now, I'd kill them. I'd hurt them. I'd cripple them.
A lot of the Texas guys are like, why would I ever come to New Mexico and hunt? It sucks there. Yeah. They're not wrong in a way, in a way.
And they're right in a way. But that's what I've done and try to do all the time. It's on my mind is to create a dog that anybody that hunts can buy from me and take him home and enjoy him. I don't want to have just my country dog. I want my dogs to be able to go anywhere.
Yep.
And so that's what I'm trying to, and I'm always looking for that better dog. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that is barn blind. If you've got a better dog than I like, I'm going to try to buy him or breed to him or something. I'm going to try to put him in my dogs.
Yes, sir. That's an important lesson I've learned. Yeah.
I don't know if the word's jealous or what. I don't care who owns him. Because there's always a better dog. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if I like him and I don't own him, I'm going to try to get him in my program.
So the theme for this episode was like reflection and preparation. So what do you think? Tell me about your last season. How did it go? And what do you think was good and bad about your last season?
It was for the droughts, and like when we go down to New Mexico it's what I call our big hunt of the year. It wasn't very good. We caught 40, I think, and we usually catch 100. They just wasn't there. So I don't know if Mother Nature didn't let them have the pups. I don't know.
It was just a harsh last 2 years. The rabbit population also just terrible. Yeah.
And there was no cattle. Everybody drouthed out. They had to sell their cattle. So there wasn't nothing for a cow to eat, really. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But, and in the same sense, in other places, it was better. One ranch we hunt, it was unbelievable every time we went there. So it was weird. There was no uniform till last winter to me. It just depends. It just depends where we went. I mean, there'd be coyotes, and you could go 50 miles, and there would still be a few coyotes, but not like normal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was just different last year. It was just different. I mean, we caught a lot of coyotes. I mean, my number was still like it usually is, but we had to hunt a little harder, I guess is what I should say.
And your dogs, how'd they do?
Good. They, they're the same dogs that I'd kind of run the year before. They were, mm-hmm. I had Deuce and Pharaoh, and all them they were 2 and 3 last year. So they were pretty seasoned. Most of my stuff was pretty seasoned last year till the end. And I started Deuce's sons, and they just acted like they were 3 years old. I mean, they started real well.
I love that.
Followed their old man everywhere he went. They followed him.
Well, speaking of barn blind, do you think your pack has any weaknesses?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think everybody has a weakness somewhere. I mean, as a whole, I don't think I'm very weak as a whole, but there is a certain dog that you wish would do this a little better, mm-hmm. but he might do something else good enough to justify keeping him. Yeah. Yeah. And I've got one. He's can see a coyote better than a human. He can trail a coyote. You can send him blind to a coyote.
Wow. That's cool.
He runs good. He's no trouble, but he could fight a little more.
Gotcha.
For me. But I let it go because of all the other stuff he does good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He'll be an unbelievable puppy trainer this winter.
Exactly. When he's taking dogs to a coyote, that's mm-hmm. super important. Yeah.
I mean, you can send him blind for, I don't care. I mean, it's unbelievable what he does, some of it. And a lot of people don't believe it, and they think we're all lying about it because they just don't know until they go watch it themselves. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I questioned it before I started hunting with them guys, the guys I hunt with. Didn't question it. I would never call them a liar because I believe everything they say. They're my friends. But Ty Cates sending a dog he called Rooster a half a mile, and I'm not kidding you. It's sending him a half a mile to going up a finger of a canyon.
Dang.
And you get over there, and that dog will be running that coyote. And that's what.
Holy smokes! Wow.
And I've got one of my stud dogs is out of that dog. Mm-hmm. So.
You answered one of my questions already pretty well. I was going to ask you how your views kind of evolved over the last few seasons, but it sounds like putting more durability and rough country breeding into your lines kind of seemed to have been something you've moving towards in the last few years.
Yeah, about the last 7 or 8 years now. Mm-hmm. Because it happened just because of the guys that I started hunting with. They would come hunt with me, and then I'd go hunt with them, and my dogs would work up there, but I could see that I had to add it. I had to add that into my deal. And it started with a dog named Jake. Smart, one of the smartest dogs I've ever seen. And I started with him, with Miss K. That was the first time I bred her. And it just went from there. Then here come Deuce. I got him from Dwayne. I bought several dogs from Dwayne when I started hunting in that kind of country that those guys hunt in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I bought some. I don't buy very many good dogs from people. They just don't suit me because I'm so picky. But I bought several from him, and they helped me get what I wanted.
Where do you think you see yourself improving? Because everyone has like that like fantasy of a perfect dog. What do you think you're going to do to improve moving forward? What are you thinking you're going to keep adding or mixing into?
I'm going to. I'm hoping these pups. I've taken my best males, and I've bred them to what I think are the unbelievablest best females. And I've got them standing in my barn for this fall to see if they're what I think they should be.
They just had all the qualities you've mentioned below.
Yes, I've put it all in one dog through their mom and their daddy. So, and it may not work, it might. I don't know. But if I'm going to do it and go through the hassle of keeping the little farts alive, I think you should do the best to the best. And hear me when I say it. And if I thought there was a better dog that suited me than Deuce, I'd have took my female and bred her to that dog if the man would let me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I just don't. I haven't seen him. I don't know where I don't know where he's at. I've had several people come this spring and breed to Deuce. Mm-hmm. So I breed to him because as we speak, it's not because he's mine. He's the best one I've put in my pickup. All around dog now. All around dog. I've had tougher dogs. I've had faster dogs, but I'm talking everything. All around dog. Yep. He's got everything in his. He does everything right.
Let me ask you a question. You've answered all my questions for the segment, so thank you. You're doing awesome. I'm going to ask you a different question. This question is from Seth, from my heart, because I like to talk to people that have been doing this a long time and they know what's up. And you've experienced a lot of different things hunting with sighthounds, but why do you like coyote hunting more than hare hunting? That seems to be kind of the debate. And I just kind of wanted to pick your brain. I just wanted to know what you thought.
I don't know, because I'm a sucker for a rabbit race.
I like both too.
I love, and I'll just say this, I guess because I've gotten older. Used to, me and my buddies around over Portales and Clovis and around here, when we were younger, we would drive fast and want to get close and do the bumper dumper deal that everybody hollers. But as I've gotten older, and I think the dogs have done it for me like Deuce, I love to just, it's kind of cruel to the dog because I'll let him out so far he don't have a chance. But I want to watch him work.
Yeah.
I want to watch him. I enjoy watching the dog not just hit the ground and just take off hard as he can running if he don't see the coyote. I want him to go kind of where he thought he was, and I want him to pick him up, with his nose and trail him and not just be running hard, but just working, like
a more complete dog. Yeah.
Just back and forth and watch him work. And then watch him when he gets his eye on the coyote, how they bear down and they run him another mile if they have to catch him. I enjoy the race. That's why I'm a sucker for a rabbit race, because I've said that all my life. I said, I ought to quit hunting coyotes and just run rabbits because I like to watch them dogs run.
That's the thing. I think I
don't care nothing about a 50-yard coyote race. It does nothing for me. And in the videos, or some of them are that way, but I'm videoing the dog because someone wants to see him that may be trying to buy him. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, they're good videos too, but they're really exciting.
Not how we. Yeah, that's not my cup of tea. Really, my cup of tea is the quarter-mile turnout down a canyon and watch the dog work.
Yeah. It's funny. I interview a lot of people that have been hunting with these dogs for a long time, and they all say that same thing you're saying, that, it used to be about stacking them up. And now it's more about, I want a complete dog, and I want to see the fruits of my decades of hunting come together in these really good dogs. And that's really exciting to hear. And having mentors, I try to surround myself with really experienced mentors so that I can get to that level as quickly as possible. Because it's really awesome. David Heiss, I hunt with him for coyotes, and his dogs are amazing. I didn't even know sighthounds would trail a coyote. His picked up the coyotes, went to him just by scent, and then started bounding above the grass. And then they saw the coyote. They wouldn't just kill themselves to try to run up to the coyote. They would just play it smart and move behind him at high speed until they could get him lined out. Then they ran him down and caught him. And that blew me away. That right there was like, okay, coyote hunting is awesome, because you can't really do that with a rabbit.
Right. And we have a lot of those races, when our group gets together and goes hunting on the weekend. I mean, we have a lot of those races that you just said.
It's really exciting.
I mean, you'll be up on a big top of a mesa, and you can't drive to him, and he may be down in the bottom, and you just got to let the dogs go. And they do just what you said. They use their nose, and the coyote may be already going up the other side of the canyon while they're still in the bottom, but they're running and looking, and when they pick him up, you can see the gears go to shifting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, like you say, they take care of themselves. That's where it goes back to the brains. I mean, I've seen Deuce be in the bottom of a canyon, a coyote halfway up the side, and he sees him, and he don't just turn it on. He goes, but he don't turn it on till he breaks the other side where it's flat, and then he turns it on. That's how I feel like
his brains.
It's brains, and if you breed those brains to your females and you get that pup, and he does the same thing, it gives him a better chance of doing the same thing as his daddy if he's with him.
Exactly. It's both nurture and nature, both genetics and being taught.
I mean, Deuce is just a dog. When we go hunting around here, if we go over to my buddies at Hereford where we hunt, his boys outrun him terrible, because it's just across the wheat field, flat ground, and they can turn it on, and they're younger. So they do get ahead of the old man. But when we go up there to where it gets tough, ain't nobody can cut the old man off yet.
I love that. Randy, I want to come hunting with you, buddy. I want to experience this. I do.
Yeah, I told Dean the other night. Dean called, and I said, you got to come one of those weekends we go, and you got to see it.
I need to come hunting with Dean too. I need to take my dogs up to the crops and let them rip it up out there. I just never have, because it was hard for me to keep both of my dogs sound at the same time. And I didn't want to drive 6 hours with one dog, but now I got 4, and I guarantee they'll be sound enough to hunt. And so I need to come up there and let them run on some crop fields. My dogs will be confused. They'll be like, what?
Yeah, they won't know what to do. You're not feeding a rock on their foot.
Yep. I'm very excited for the future, and I love to talk to people with these, decades of experience and diverse opinions. And so, Randy, if there's any final thoughts or questions you have, brother, now is the time.
I just thank everyone. I want to breed a better dog every year. I want to breed a dog that will catch a deer if I want to. I want him to be fast and smart. It's a never ending deal with me, because you can always make them better.
I totally agree.
Everything has gotten better over the years. The coyotes, the athletes, the human athletes are better than they were. Basketball players now are better than I was when I was a senior. They're more athletic. They're bigger. They're stronger. And that's the way it needs to be.
I couldn't agree more. I've heard that a lot, that the dogs now are better than they've ever been.
Oh, yeah. My dogs now are better than my grandpa's dogs. Could never even warm them up.
Now, do you think it's because you're a better houndsman than you were, and you raised better dogs?
No, because they had good dogs. David Heiss was a young man back then. My grandpa, they had hellacious coyote dogs. I remember watching them. My dad had some half hot bloods that were unbelievable catch a coyote. But as times as time goes on, you have to adjust with you have to go with it.
The circumstances change. Yep.
I mean, it's just like Rascal. He's been gone 14 years, but today he would be the best dog in my barn, just because they've
improved.
They've improved, and I think I've helped improve it by adding Pronto or a faster dog to my stuff, or you know what I mean.
Adding Pronto is always a good call. I may be biased though.
I'm just saying. I mean, it would not bug me a bit to take that black dog and breed him to one of my tough females.
Those would be some speedy ones and good distance too. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Over the years, I've done that with people. I've implemented that dog's blood into mine to either speed them up or make them tougher or.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's the fun of dogs. That's the fun of owning dogs, is we get to think of these mix and matches to try to find that perfect litter.
And I hope that these liver colored pups out here, my point of breeding them the way that I bred them is that they'll be better than their dad.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They'll be faster. He'll make them smart, but they'll be able to be smart. They got enough brains to learn.
Right. Randy, I think we need to have a part 2, brother.
If you're breeding them and if they're not being better than their parents, then there's no need to breed them.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Well,
that's what I think, and that may not be right, but that's what I think.
I think you're right, and I don't know if I'm the authority on everything, but I think that sounds pretty dang smart to me. So, Randy, I wanted to thank you for coming on, brother. We're going to do this again. I got a time limit on this, unfortunately, but we're going to re-come back. There's a lot more to cover. I can tell we still only scratched the surface on this. So, Randy, thank you so much for coming on the Houndsman XP podcast, buddy, and I look forward to talking to you again, bud.
That'll be good. I enjoyed it. So anytime.
Thank you, sir. How many times do you hound doggers catch yourself thinking about an awesome hunt you had, or retelling this great story with family and friends around the dinner table, and all you have to remember that moment is some terrible cell phone picture, or worse, no picture at all? Well, Houndsman XP is partnered with Rough Cut Company to help solve your problem and make beautiful pieces of art to remember for all time your experiences in the field. Rough Cut Company is an American-owned and American-made business in Wisconsin that specializes in custom, unique photo engravings on hardwood that are framed to any picture you want. They also do customizable antler dog chews and even beautiful, unique antler rings from their own red deer in Wisconsin. Rough Cut Company can do pretty much anything you ask. Their customer service is second to none. Give them a look at roughcutcompany.com, and when you check out, make sure you check out with HXP 10% off to get a discount on your final purchase. Check them out, you guys, and support people that support houndsmen and help keep us in the field and remembering those times forever. Thank you, Randy, again. And I look forward to having you on again. We talked for a bit after this interview, and I was like, man, I should have kept the record button going, but that's life. That's life. I told him, hey, we're going to come on. We're going to have that conversation again. And before we wrap it up, Lauren, I'm going to ask you the same thing. Tell me about a reflection from your last season, and where are you going to move forward coming into the next one?
Putting me on the spot as always, Seth. I've probably talked about it quite a bit, but honestly, I thought about last season as far as bears are concerned. I didn't hunt super hard for bears in Wisconsin. I kind of got freaked out about the wolves. So I jetted out to Colorado and hunted really hard out there. But I wanted to see a little bit more out of my dogs. So hopefully I can do that again this year, and I'm going to go harder for bears this year. I have a new spot to hunt with some new people, blue tick people. So we'll see how that goes.
Who do you think was your best dog?
Last year? Piper, for sure. Okay, hands down. But River and Ridge both made their first truck to tree bear too, like the second day they hunted. So, and Ridge had never seen a bear before in his life. Neither had River, obviously, but still. But coon season, we went really hard and we did really, really well. And it was just really fun to see my dogs turn on, and Ridge just really, really, really made me happy. He's my next prodigy coon dog for sure. And well, Piper's hopefully being bred this summer, so that will kind of lead into what my next seasons look like. But reflecting back, I think I just need to push my dogs a little bit harder, not be as scared. Just get out there, get after it, prepare my body as well. I keep my dogs in shape year round, so that really hasn't been an issue. And just, I'm looking forward to hopefully maybe getting to travel some places and see other dogs hunt. Maybe get out to West Virginia in December for their bear season. And I'm ready to see the young dogs turn on. Piper has shown me what she needs to show me, and she'll be laid up for a while with puppies, hopefully. So yeah.
Just
what about you, Seth?
More dogs.
More dogs, right? I know. I need to get rid of 2, Abby and Millie, so that I can add 2 more from Piper's litter.
Yes. Well, what about me? Reflections from last season. I am a huge data nerd, and I took a lot of inspiration from Bart Hoag's book, The Hound Log. And what I did was I made using an online website, I took all the data that I wrote down in the Hound Log, I transcribed it to a PDF, and then I added all the photos and stills from the videos to make a information log with pictures attached to it in this big 8.5 by 11 hardcover lay flat book. So it's like a scrapbook plus a hound log, and it's like super HD. It turned out sick. And so I'm making another one. And for the season prior, I want to have this long log. The inspiration for this episode was I was talking to some older houndsmen that are like, man, Seth, I really wish I had written everything down like you have been for the last 4 years, for 20 years, so that I could remember all these things that you're going to remember forever. Not to mention I have these pictures and 4K videos. Patrons know what I'm talking about. And so it's like, I just really wanted reflections. My season went incredible. My greyhounds, they just continued to be monsters. And this was the twilight of their prime. My Salukis just came on like rock stars. They ended the season just, oh man, so good. So much better than I could have ever hoped. And so preparing for next year, keep my dogs in shape. And it's time for my Salukis to take the reins and hopefully be the MVPs of my season. And the hare population looks like it's recovering. So hopefully, all fingers crossed, fingers, toes, tongue, everything crossed. We get
stars aligned.
Monsoon this year where we can get some good rain, and I can have a season where I don't have to spend 3 hours looking for one hare. So reflections, proud of my dogs, preparing for the future. Hopefully going to see some awesome Saluki action. So pretty simple for me. And keep writing and keep taking tons of pictures and videos so that I can remember this stuff for decades. That's my goal.
I wish I had the dedication and organization that you do to keep those logs, and to, like, even for a competition hunt, I cannot remember for the life of me the play-by-play, but there's so many old guys that are like, oh, and then Scrappy, he went and he struck for 25 and so, blah, 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 waiting up. And I don't remember that stuff. But hey, guys, this was a great show. Thank you so much for listening. And make sure that you're engaging with us on our Facebook group. Tell your friends about us. Let us know on Apple Podcasts. How are we doing? Give us a review. Type some words in there.
Yeah, and subscribe. That's how you help Houndsman XP, those reviews, those subscriptions. So thank you, guys. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you to all our listeners. Everyone, you're the best. We love working. I'm going to say but I'm going to say we love working for Houndsman XP. It's been an amazing ride, and we hope you guys enjoy this. Reach out to us if you want to have a tailgate talk with me. We can have you guys on the Patreon page. We can have segments. We love engagement, and that's what we're all about. So everybody, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again next month. Talk to y'all later.